Hi, folks. Dr. Jim Gishwin here. Well, the march to war continues. U.S. intelligence says an Iranian missile strike on Israel is imminent. We've got our Secretary of State and we got NATO members sitting there saying that they want Ukraine in NATO. Well, you know what that's going to mean, don't you? That's going to PO Putin off. He'll sit there and resort to tactical nukes or something like that. It'll bring us into it, directly into it. Boots on the ground, people. Yep, draftable age men, beware. And there's not going to be any place for you to run because Canada's part of NATO too. Okay, so they'll be drawn into it also. All right, so you can't run up there. They're less democratic than us. They'll sit there and round you up on the streets. I guess the morons that run us don't know what they're doing. That's a pretty heavy guess. That's a heavy load to lift. I mean, when you got a president that thinks we're in Vietnam instead of Ukraine or Israel, and when you got Sheila Jackson Lee that says the moon is made out of gas, and that's why we can't colonize it. And then when she was sitting there supervising someone with the joystick moving the Mars rover around on a JPL, she sat there and asked him, she said, "Can you take a picture of the flag that Neil Armstrong left up there?" Yeah, on Mars. Still not as good as that congressman from Minnesota, I think it was, that was afraid that if we put too many troops on Guam, it would tip the island over. Okay. That's your educational. That's your public education, man. Dumbing down of America starts at the top. Remember that, okay? The dumbing down of America starts at the top, and it's called trickle-down dumbness, okay? So don't let it get you. Now, I'm telling you, the left and the Dems are the left. Okay, there's no such thing as a real Democrat anymore. They use the word democracy as a buzzword in the State Department and the intelligence community. That's what you use to go overthrow governments, foreign governments. But they've somehow united with the globalists to sit there and tear down America. Now, when is it not treason to sit there and get on the street corner and encourage violence, overthrow of the government, which is happening up there in, I think it's Michigan? Who was that guy up there? Sitting there going, "Death to America, death to America." That's hate speech. That's violent speech. Okay? Of course, the left understands peaceful demonstrations as fires burning behind you, like they did during Antifa and BLM. Okay? But then again, they'd rather send the FBI after devout Catholics that are pro-life and think that they're religious terrorists, and they would rather sit there and send the FBI waiting in the parking lot for some parent that sat there and just got his mouth going against the teachers board, against the Parent Teachers Union. Those are the terrorists, according to Biden. Okay? And remember, everything that they say that someone else is going to do, they're doing. Trump was already in office. Trump never did these things that they say he's going to do if he gets in again. He's just going to clean up the daggone bureaucracy is what he's going to do. And it needs cleaning up because there's no oversight on it. We know that. There's a bureaucratic despotism out there. Each one of those agencies has a little admin court. Okay? A little administrative judge that can sit there and make decisions on whether or not you keep your property or not. Or whether or not to fine you because you got a puddle too big in your backyard at Bureau of Land Management. And you don't think that hasn't happened? I wouldn't have said it to you if it hadn't been something that happened. It's like when I was setting up stores as a store opener. I tell them, do not set that up against the wall like that. It will fall over and kill you. And how do I know that? Because I've seen it do it. Okay? And I've been around long enough, and I've been around long enough in the intelligence community, career intelligence person, okay? Even though that was under Reagan, okay? Under Reagan and others. I retired way back in 1990. Yep. No, actually 89. It was after New Year's. Anyway, so I'm an old fart, but I'm sitting there. I'm a Cold War warrior. Fought communism my whole life, and here we go again. Another Cold War. It's fixing to turn into a hot one. We only got close to a hot war a couple times. Okay? We had those proxy wars. We thought they were proxy wars. Vietnam was not a proxy war. Vietnam was a civil war we got involved in. Ho Chi Minh sat there and begged to Roosevelt to sit there and keep the French out of Southeast Asia. He didn't like Ho Chi Minh, and he didn't like Stalin. You know, he just wanted the French out of his country. Didn't want them coming back colonizing the land again after World War II. It made sense. And there was a lot of skirmishes and fights that went on after World War II in former colonies of some of these people, because they went back in and tried to make them colonies, and the people were going to have nothing of it. Okay? So you can't blame Ho Chi Minh for that. Okay? He would have been Roosevelt's friend. Roosevelt would have just said, yeah, French, stay out of China. Stay out of Southeast Asia. Okay? But no, de Gaulle, they had to kiss de Gaulle's butt back then. You know, he was some sort of superhero. Actually, he didn't do nothing. That they let him go into Paris ahead of everyone else, even though he was behind everyone. He was fighting from behind. Don't worry, you guys. I'll be right behind you. That was de Gaulle. All right. Enough of the history lesson. All right. But I'm really worried. I'm really worried. The left has dominated the media. Left has gotten into all of our agencies, infiltrated our agencies, and that's what they said they were going to do. The 26 elements of a communist insurrection, they've done about 20 of them. And everyone's sitting there complaining that Trump's going to be a dictator when he gets in. Have you ever seen some of his old shows? He sits there and listens to everybody before he sits there and says a word. He sits there quietly, listens to each one. And that's what he did as president, too. You just didn't see it. And that's why Fauci didn't like him, because Fauci just wanted to be the only mouthpiece. But Trump was not going to have any of that. He wanted to sit there and listen to 5 or 6 medical people, not just one. Okay? In fact, you see him when he's going out towards the helicopter, or going out in public or something like that, he will always stop and ask people what they think of this and what they think of that. He does not want to be in a bubble. He does not want to be surrounded by yes men. Okay? That's the kind of man he is. And people that are close to him say the same thing. Okay? But I notice it as an instructor of leadership. He has moral leadership. In other words, he will do what's right, whether or not people like him for it or not. Okay? He could care less if people love him or hate him. All right? But if he determines that something's the right thing to do, he's going to do it. Okay? And he is a constitutionalist. I've seen that in all of his actions. That Supreme Court thing with Roe versus Wade was constitutional. Because it says in the Constitution, these are the designed powers of the national government. If it ain't in the Constitution, it belongs with the states or the people. So he returned it to the states and the people. That was it. That was the only decision the Supreme Court could make. It's not in the Constitution. All right? I teach the Constitution, folks, and so many of the Constitution laws are being just thrown under the bus lately. I mean, the exorbitant fines and stuff like that. That's Article 8, 9, and 10. Okay? Speedy trial. trial of your peers. Where is he going to find his peers? And I'll tell you, the left is using dictatorial methods. They're ignoring congressional subpoenas. I mean, we got people, conservative Republicans in jail for ignoring congressional subpoenas. Now suddenly it's okay for the Democrats to do that without being sent to jail only because you got a crooked attorney general that's pissed off because he was not selected for the Supreme Court, because the Republicans stopped him from being selected from the Supreme Court, and thank God for that. Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting to the 11th hour. God gave us this country. Okay? This country was built on God, guts, and guns. And God is not going to leave us with just the guts and guns. And you don't need the guns. You need to sit there and speak. Speak to others. You need to spread the word. The good word. That God loves you and God loves America. God help us all. If you can't do that, please, we're in real big trouble. I see these high school students, boy, and I am worried. They are so buried in that thing right in front of them. And I try and tell them, that's not the real world, people. That's not the real world. Get out of there. Okay? Get out of there. That's a fantasy world. You're getting ready to step out into the cold, cruel world, and that thing is not going to help you. Life is tough, but it can be fun. Okay? God touched me. I don't know why. I remember sitting there playing pool and drinking a beer after opening up a restaurant in Destin, Florida. All those cooks had stopped there at a little place in Destin on the way home when it was still small. And some guy just came up to me and said, talk to me about Jesus. So that's when I started my ministry to ill and dying veterans with Covenant Care. It gets to me every so often, and I keep wondering. I said, 4 heart attacks, a stroke, 4 back operations, 2 shoulder operations, half a leg that doesn't work. The muscles in it do, but the nerves are dead. So I'm Mr. Deeds down there. I'm Mr. Deeds somewhere else too, but anyway, that's neither here nor there, and it doesn't matter anymore at my age. I'm not procreating. Anyway, I love you guys. It's only you. It's only you can save America. Because you have to bring God back. Without God, we ain't going to win this fight. No, we ain't going to win this fight at all. God will not leave us with just our guns and guts. And with that, I'll say God bless you. God bless you. And I remain your humble servant. Take care. I love you.